my lovelies, so this is Lizzie from Love From Lizi, and I'm bringing you part 1 of the 10 card 1 kit video for the March Make It Bloom Love From Lizi card kit. I'm making the card base currently, and I split it lengthways at 4 1/4 and then score at 5 1/2. And now I'm cutting my pattern paper, and this is how I like to do it. Again, I'm only showing you this once at the beginning, so I'm not repeating myself throughout the video. But I like to use a pencil, ruler and scissors rather than a trimmer, just because it then doesn't kill off the rest of that piece of pattern paper. But I use a T-square ruler to make sure that I get right angles when I'm doing my lines, and then I'll just cut very carefully with my scissors. And because of the paper colour, you can see pencil marks sometimes, so I'll just rub that out there. And I'm taking one of the cut apart sheets from the kit, and I've snipped it out, and now I'm just trimming it down slightly so that you can see a bit more of that pattern paper behind. Now I'm being a bit naughty here and using what would be the other card base to create a mat, just to make it all very cohesive with the card base. And then I'm using a little tape runner on the back of the cut apart piece just to mount that up, and I've again just measured that by eye. And now again tape runner on the back of the larger piece, popping that onto the card front, and I'm using some Scotch foam tape just to pop that up. And you only need a little bit, to be honest, because the cardstock and the cut apart together make that quite stable. I've placed it towards the top of the centre, and I'm using a glue dot to attach a bow onto that little tub of daisies, and I've used a jewel picker to pull out some of the sequins that I wanted, and I just pulled out some of the iridescent hearts. And that is that card done, simple as that. And here's a close-up of that card. So now into card 2, I've created a card base using the white cardstock, and I'm just going over the daisy with some pink Champagne Nouveau drops, and I'm putting a very thin layer because it's wood. It sometimes can absorb into the wood and then crack, so just a coating. And I've taken one of the tags from the cut apart sheet, and used my craft knife to take that circle out, and I'm using some Nouveau glaze over the flower and around the sort of eyelet on the hole. And now that first layer of Nouveau is dried, I've gone back in to put on a second layer, which can be a bit thicker, and I'm using a bit of cardstock just to guide in between those gaps to make sure that there isn't any overhang. And using a pencil, I've just drawn around that tag shape on one of the patterned papers from the kit to create another tag. And here I'm taping my card base at a sort of jaunty angle across my craft mat, because I want to use some pinstripes of the peel-offs to sort of decorate the background of the card. So I'm using the widest pinstripe, and then 1/4 of an inch next to it I'm using the medium size. And once I've gone all the way down the card with that, I'm taking the thinnest and putting it either side of the middle piece. I hope that makes sense. In the still shot, if you pause it, you'll see. And it's just to create a little bit of interest, and the fact that it's pink with this silver on it just gives it a little bit of shine as well. Once I've finished doing that, I will snip off the little excess, and I pop some tape runner on the front of the patterned piece and some foam tape on the reverse of the tag that's got the detailing on, but having to be very careful because I've obviously got this Nouveau glaze that's now still wet on there. And I would advise, if you're going to case this card, to do the glaze at the end, because it does make everything a little bit difficult. Now I've taken the pink and the white ribbon, and I've sort of folded it in half and created sort of like a little bit of a spray, and I've got some Scotch, just really strong sellotape, and I'm just going to spray those out as I like the look of them, attach the tape onto it, and then pop that behind the hole. Now you can use something other than tape, you could use a wet glue if you liked, but tape gives that immediate hold. And then I've trimmed all the ribbons at an angle, and I'm popping a glue dot behind a bow and hiding the mess that I've created. I pop some foam tape up behind the tag and an extra layer behind that top piece, and then attach that directly onto the card front. And my daisy is still wet. Again, much better to do this at the end of the card. And then using my tweezers, I sort of place that over the flower on the tag. So that's card 2, another very simple but effective card. Card 3, I wanted to do something with this little Oh Happy Day ephemera piece that comes in the kit. So I've picked out the rainbow pattern paper, and I'm marking out a piece of it just to pop onto the yellow card base. I'm erasing the pencil lines, and I've picked out the 3 little hearts from the stamp set. And because they are tiny, they're a bit fiddly, so I've put my acetate grid in there. And if you don't have a grid, you can just use the release paper from the stamp set, but that will help you position things and keep them still. And then I've used my anti-static powder tool and my Versa mark, and then the Silver Dollar Love From Lizi embossing powder, and heat that up. And now I'm going to stick down my patterned paper. And I've learnt in the past, you'll find out shortly, I wanted to put peel-offs on this, but do make sure you do heat embossing first, because the peel-offs don't care for heat. They don't react well. And now I'm running my widest peel-off at both the top and the bottom of the pattern paper, just to give it a bit of a finish. And then the middle width peel-off I'm using to sort of create a landing strip for the piece of ephemera. And because the ephemera is going to mask it, I've just used some of my little leftover pieces on the either side there, and I've placed those sort of 1/4 of an inch away from one another, some foam tape behind the ephemera piece, and then just popped that into the middle. And here I've got a silver glitter Spectrum Noir marker, and I'm just sort of embellishing on that little ephemera piece, creating some extra little rainbow stripes and a couple of little dots of glitter either side of the Oh Happy Day to sort of like fake Brad look on there. And that is card number 3 done. So now moving into card number 4, and this paper I think is my favourite of the whole collection. Now I did the pencil marks on the reverse side because it's a dark paper, it'd be tricky to see, and I've picked out one of the cut aparts that's in a similar colour palette and used some circle dies and another, the pink gingham there with a larger circle die, and I'm attaching it all together and assembling it all on the card base. Now this card actually took me 10 minutes from start to finish. I hadn't designed it, it was just really straightforward, simple. So if you need a card in a hurry, this will work. I took a sticker from the sticker sheet, and that is card number 4 done pretty much. I just popped a glue dot behind the bow, moved it around, but picked at the on the watering can there. So that's card 4. Card number 5, again, another very simple one. I've got this, it's almost like an enlarged postage stamp die. And then I've used a circle die set in the middle. Die cut those pieces out, and then I've sort of taped it in place so that I could take the Happy Easter stamp and then pop that into my MISTI, remove the pattern paper away so that there wasn't anything for the embossing powder to catch onto, and used my Versa mark again and my anti-static just to heat emboss. And I use the very vanilla Love From Lizi embossing powder. And here I've picked out a load of the little flowers and leaves, and I'm just watermark stamping these on. You can't see it very well on camera, unfortunately, so you just have to trust me. And I went all the way around the edge, and because I've only used a piece of paper here, I made sure that I put foam all over the back of it. I didn't want it to sag anywhere or get damaged if I post it. And then I popped that onto the front. And that is card 5 done. So they're super simple, but here are the still shots. Let me know which is your favourite, and I hope to post the other part of this video very soon. Until then, happy paper crafting. Bye!